Welcome back to my Oklahoma Sooners Death Penalty Dynasty. Today we are starting our final offseason with any sort of restrictions. After the next season, I have no restrictions. I can finally scout 5-star players and try to get them to my team. This season it is 4-star players and I can only add 20 of them. In the last video, you watched us lose to Florida State 30-27 in overtime in the very first round of the playoffs, but I really don't think many people expected us to even get to the playoffs last season, so I'm going to take it as a win that we even got there. But I've already completed the entire playoffs, and here they are. Your new national champion is the Nebraska Cornhuskers, defeating Georgia in the national championship 27-24. But now we can go look at season stats and all of the final awards. Obviously, you already know some of the awards that we've won, but we'll look and see who else won the rest of the awards. And this season, Ty Downing won the Heisman and several other awards, and we will get to that in a minute. But he throws for 4,100 yards and 40 touchdowns to only 12 interceptions, which is definitely an improvement over last year, while the touchdowns and the picks are. He did not throw for near as many yards, but we were able to run the ball with BJ Smith a hell of a lot better this season. And then on the ground, he had another 1,000-yard season, just barely crossing it, and 15 touchdowns. He didn't have to run near the goal line near as much because we could finally, like I said, run the ball with our actual running back. And Clark Nelson in his final season with us here goes 12 for 27, 193 for 4 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. We will look at Clark Nelson's career stats whenever we get to the players leaving stage. And now we get to BJ Smith, who had an absolutely career year for him. 278 carries, 1,700 yards, and 23 touchdowns with 6.2 yards a carry. You can compare that to his freshman and sophomore season where he got 4.1 in each of those. Obviously, we got a bit better of an O-line this last season, so I was able to run the ball a hell of a lot more. And 6 touchdowns, 9 touchdowns, and then 23. So yeah, his career high was 564, now 1731. He got the longest run of his career this year. It just goes to show you how much improving your O-line can actually help in this game. And then we already saw that Ty Downing had 1,000 yards and 15 touchdowns. Clark Nelson ran in for a touchdown, and Kellen Simmons didn't run the ball, I don't think, near as much as he did last year. Yeah, he had 88 attempts last year, only 32 this year. He actually went down in yards per carry and only got 2 touchdowns as opposed to 4 last year. Now, his stats definitely went down because I did not run the ball near as much with him as I did with BJ Smith. And Smith actually stayed in the games a lot more this year. Last season, he would leave the game after like 2 or 3 carries. He didn't do that so much this year. And this to me is just funny. BJ Smith leads the team in receptions with 42, but only 354 yards and 3 touchdowns. I don't think he did much better. Actually, no. His freshman and sophomore year, he caught 27 passes, so this year he caught 42 and got 3 touchdowns, which was more than he had his entire career coming into the season. And then we have our star receiver, Wayne Outlaw, who caught 41 passes this year as opposed to 65 last year, 1,008 yards and 11 touchdowns as opposed to 15. But I don't think we threw the ball near as much. I'll go double check that on on Ty Downing's stats here in just a minute. And the next one up is wide receiver Jeff Benson, who caught 15 less passes than last year, 200 less yards, and only 3 touchdowns as opposed to 12 his freshman year. And then we have wide receiver Shannon Montgomery. Now, his freshman year, he caught 72 passes for 1,100 yards and 5 touchdowns. This year, only 29 catches for 797 yards, but did catch 10 touchdowns. Obviously, he's been slowly moving down the depth chart whenever we got guys like Jeff Benson and Wayne Outlaw in. And then we have true freshman Rich Anderson, who won the Jet Award this year for the best returner in the country, with 23 catches for 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. And then our brand new tight end this year, Sam Lawson, 22 catches, 300 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Every year I say I want to get the tight end more involved, and then it just really ends up not happening every season for some reason. But then Joey Miller, a true sophomore, 21 catches for 392 yards and 6 touchdowns. And then Kellen Simmons, 12 for 97 and a score, and Eric Kemp caught 1 pass for a touchdown. Over on defense, Dallas Tremblay in his final season with Oklahoma finishes with 116 tackles, leading the team, and tackles for loss also goes to Dallas Tremblay with 27, but sacks goes to true freshman Marcus Ross, who got 10 on the season. And on the other side of the D-line, true freshman Ashton Mills got 7, Tremblay with 5, Mike Handy with 4, Ronnie Simpson with 3, John McGill with 2, and Scott Thomas with 2, and then a bunch of people got 1, including Kawika Moore, John Long, Eugene Blake, Jake Wright, Jason Tremblay, almost called him Dallas Tremblay, and he was the last one on that list there. I don't know what our series record is for interceptions, but I feel like this might be it. Alex Red got 3, Dallas Tremblay got 3, Kawika Moore got 2, and then George Steele got 1, and Eric Kemp got 1. And with the kicking stats, I kind of screwed over our kicker by trying to kick like 58-yard field goals, and I probably should have known he wasn't that good, but he goes 9 of 12 on the season. And in case you were curious what ended up earning the Returner of the Year award, it is 1,000 yards and 2 kick return touchdowns. He was also our punt returner, but never got a touchdown there. And like I said, whenever I was looking at the receiver stats, I went back and looked at the amount of attempts that Ty Downing had. His freshman year, we threw the ball 426 times. This year, only 347. But now we'll take a look at these stats around the country here, and Ty Downing ends with the best QBR. Most completion goes to Darren Johnson at Colorado. Forgot what that school was for a second. Most attempts goes to Darrell Davis. In yards, that goes to Ty Downing. Touchdowns goes to Ty Downing. Who led the country in picks? That would be a handful of players here. Damian Chapman, Richard Hunter, and Eric Griffin. In rushing attempts, BJ Smith finished 4th in the country, so that tells me I ran the ball a ton. In yards, that will go to Joshua Cooper, who ran for a little over 2,000 yards, and touchdowns goes to BJ Smith, and Ty Downing is also down here on this list, but Smith ended the season with 23, as you saw earlier. And what about yards per game? Who got that? That would go to Joshua Cooper. All right, yeah, never mind, that makes sense. What about broken tackles? Not there. Runs of 20 plus goes to Ty Downing with 23 of them. The next closest is BJ Smith with 8. So I guess simulation stats don't really get big runs at all in this game. And our guys are going to be nowhere near this list because it looks like these teams only throw to like literally 2 receivers. Bryson Carter ends the season with 109 receptions for 1,300 yards. And the leader in yards is going to be JJ Dukes from Miami with 1,500, and touchdowns also goes to Bryson Carter and Clint Hayden. And I'm actually curious about this. So let's scroll down all the way to Colorado here. And let's see. So he had 100 catches, he had 72, and then the next guy had 25. So yeah, they literally throw the ball to 2 receivers in the simulation. Actually, one of these isn't a receiver. They either throw to this receiver or a tight end. That's all they do. And Sam Scott, an outside linebacker out of Tulsa, leads the country in tackles, but Dallas Tremblay is second here. And in solo tackles, okay, so simulation doesn't do solo tackles at all, I assume, because the top 5 are OU players. What about tackles for loss? That goes to Marquise Anderson out of Wyoming. I think that's what that school logo is. And in sacks, Justin Taylor got 12.5, leading the country. What about picks? That goes to Phil Lyles, who got 9, and Jack Schroeder, who got 9 at Tulsa. And then just because I want to show it again, Ty Downing does win the Heisman here in his sophomore year, and we have to have him back. He literally cannot leave us unless he transfers, which I've never seen happen to a player that like won the Heisman. But you know, this game is kind of weird sometimes. And then BJ Smith finished second in voting. I'm going to try to bring him back, but if he ends up leaving, it would not shock me. And then before we look at All-Americans, let's quickly go over all of the awards. The Maxwell Award goes to Ty Downing. The Walter Camp Award goes to Ty Downing. And you can see everyone else here in the top 10. BJ Smith was in the top 10 of both of those. Finished second for the Walter Camp. The Bednarik Award goes to Dallas Tremblay, and Jason Tremblay actually made the list as well. The Nagurski Award goes to Dallas Tremblay. The O'Brien Award goes to Ty Downing. The Walker Award goes to BJ Smith. OU pretty much cleared a lot of these. The Bolitnikov goes to Clint Hayden at Oregon. I think that was one of the guys we saw that, yeah, he led the country in receiving touchdowns with 16. But Shannon Montgomery was actually up here. And then the Mackey Award goes to Anthony Robinson. I believe this is the award for the best tight end. Yeah, okay. And then the Outland Award for, I think, the best, it's just the best lineman, not the best center, goes to Steve Ramsauer out of Georgia. The Remington goes to Steve Ramsauer as well. The Lombardi goes to Tom Marks, but Ashton Mills was up here. That kind of surprised me that Mills is up here, but not, who's the other guy that we have? The other true freshman, Marcus Ross. I'm kind of surprised he's not up here if Ashton Mills is up here. The Butkus Award also goes to Dallas Tremblay. The Thorpe Award goes to Phil Lyles, but Jason Tremblay finished 4th there. The Groza Award for the best kicker, yeah, we're not going to be up here. That goes to O.J. Butler at Alabama. I bet Alabama fans would love to have a Groza Award-winning kicker right now, especially after that Tennessee game. And the Guy Award goes to Kellen Coleman, who I think this is the best punter. And then the Jet Award goes to Rich Anderson. And that is all of the awards. The first list we're going to go over will be the all-conference list. Ty Downing is first-team quarterback. BJ Smith is the running back. Wayne Outlaw gets in as receiver. Josh Higgins actually got in as a lineman. I'm kind of proud one of our offensive linemen got there. Marcus Ross and Ashton Mills both make first team. And Dallas Tremblay and Jake Wright both make first team. And then our entire secondary made it? No. Okay, Oklahoma State got one in. But Alex Red got in, Eric Kemp, and Kawika Moore, who's not even our starting strong safety anymore. And then down here, Rich Anderson is first team returner, which is not really a shot considering he won the award for best returner. Now let's see if anyone made second team. The first name I see here is Shannon Montgomery as a receiver. Did anyone else on our team make it? Mike Handy made it as a defensive tackle. And then George Steele actually did make it. So all of our corners end up as all conference, just one is second team. Jason Tremblay, who was our actual starting strong safety, finished as a second team all Big 12. And Jermaine Allen ended as the second team kicker. And now for the actual full All-American list. Ty Downing and BJ Smith both make first team. I don't know if anyone else on our team will make it. Maybe Dallas Tremblay, and there he is down there. And Eric Kemp and Kawika Moore both make it as first team. I really don't think Kawika Moore should be there. Kawika Moore got burned in coverage a lot this season. And obviously the returner is Rich Anderson. What about second team? Did anyone on our team make second team All-American? Well, it looks like Marcus Ross is up here for that. And then it looks like Jason Tremblay made strong safety for him. But that is all the stats and awards, so we can finally jump into the actual offseason portion of this video. And last season was the first time I was not fired and had to recreate my coach, and this season we will get a contract extension because I think we were a lot better than they expected us to be. Target wins per year is 7, and we got 9 and 11 the last year, so yeah, we'll go ahead and sign this 7-year extension. And the first thing we will look at is coach changes, because I want to see if anyone in the Big 12 changed head coaches. It looks like the only actual change that was made is West Virginia fired their head coach and hired Mike, however the hell you say that last name. And it looks like our offensive coordinator, Jeff Traylor, actually got a contract extension. We were the #1 scoring offense in the country, so I'm kind of surprised he did not actually get a job offer to go elsewhere. And for defensive coordinator, I don't see anything for us, but it looks like Tristan Knight, which used to be John Knight. These guys, I just changed their name and then I make a new coach whenever I got fired in the first few seasons. But Tristan Knight has made his way back into the Big 12 and will now be the defensive coordinator at Texas. And then I think this is one of my former head coaches. His career record is 1-11, so it would match up. But it looks like one of the former John Knights, now known as Parker Knight, will be the head coach at Wyoming. Well, that was all of the main coaching changes I really wanted to look at here, and now we can jump into players leaving, and all 5 of the first guys that I recruited. If you remember, after season 1, I could only recruit 5 players, and they all had to be 2 stars. Well, all of them should be leaving now. And we actually have a couple people trying to transfer out. The first one is fullback George Jack, who is a walk-on. I don't care if you were leaving, but John McGill is trying to leave, and I'm not trying to lose him. He wants to go to Wyoming. That might be the coach that actually recruited him, because that was one of the guys that left, right? Parker Knight, I think. Let's say you'll play in more than 9 games. Give me another day or 2, coach. This is the biggest decision of my life. Okay, what about... I really don't want to promise you anything. You will have 20 tackles. Give me the end of the week and I'll let you know for sure if I'm staying. Okay. I'm going to break a promise here because you will probably... You know what? No, we're not going to try to bring him back. No, never mind. We will. I'm going to change my mind again. We'll have more than 5 sacks. Transferring is my best option if I want to see significant playing time. So he will be transferring to Wyoming. I guess with the guy that may have recruited him. I'm not 100% sure. But now we can look at the rest of the guys leaving. And I've sorted this by overall so we can go over the 5 guys that I brought in after season 1. The main one being Dallas Tremblay. Tremblay, I would say, was the heart and soul of this team for all 4 seasons he was here. He was one of my favorite players on defense. He leaves with the 2018 Bednarik Award, the 2017 Bednarik Award, 2018 Nagurski, 2017 Butkus, and 2018 Butkus. He finally broke over 100 tackles this season, had 27 tackles for a loss, had a career high in sacks, a career high in interceptions. He was just all around one of my favorite players that I've added to this team. He did have a couple games where he wasn't really reliable. The Texas Tech game this year kind of springs to mind. He missed a lot of tackles in that one. But he is probably my favorite recruit I've gotten to this point on defense. And then there is quarterback Clark Nelson, who was the first quarterback that I recruited and brought to this school, and he got us our first win in the series. He played really good his freshman year. I think his sophomore year he was injured because his stats are definitely dipped a little bit, and I remember playing with a backup quarterback for a good chunk of games. I think he missed 4 or 5, maybe 6 games that season, but he ends with 5,200 yards, 34 touchdowns, and 36 picks. Obviously, it's not great to end with more interceptions than touchdowns, but he had some awful players around him, and he was the lone bright spot of the offense for a minute. And then obviously I had to run the ball a ton with him, and mostly his freshman year. He had 190 attempts for 794 yards and 15 touchdowns. He never got close to that. Like I said, his sophomore year he was mostly injured, and then Ty Downing came in and kind of took his job immediately. And then obviously this guy won't have flashy stats or anything, but Allen Davis was the first tackle that I brought in. This season was his worst one, giving up 11 sacks, but I was also rolling around a lot with Ty Downing in the backfield, and a lot of those sacks are probably my fault. And then there is left guard Jimmy Austin, who came in with the first recruiting class as well, and I thought I'd be able to run the ball behind that left side of the line. I brought in a tackle and a guard, and I was like, I'll just run to the left side. They did not hold up well for very long, but either way, these two guys are the first linemen I brought in. And then finally, the last of these five is wide receiver Shannon Montgomery, whose best career year was most likely his freshman year, caught 72 balls, which was by far a career high, 1,153 yards, and 5 touchdowns. He did catch 10 touchdowns this last season, but definitely a second-year Ty Downing was better than a freshman year Clark Nelson. But yeah, I had to force the ball to Shannon Montgomery a lot in year 2 here. Another player leaving is Ryan Thomas, and he didn't get any stats actually. He never played a down for us, I'm pretty sure. He was the third string quarterback, but he was the first player that elected to transfer here, so that was pretty cool. And then we have James Thompson. And James Thompson has not got to play the last couple years because I think he got relegated to like fourth string quarterback. But he did play for a little bit in 2015 and 2016, and he finishes with 6 touchdowns and 12 career interceptions. But what's funny is he never really got much of a chance at quarterback, but he was a backup running back for a minute, and he finishes his career with 77 carries, 300 yards, 4.2 yards a carry, and 7 touchdowns. But that is our entire graduating class, or players that are leaving. It kind of sucks we're losing John McGill. He did get to play a little bit last year. Let's see, he finished with 6 tackles. Okay, never mind. He played more the year before that. But yeah, all right, I can see why you're transferring because you're definitely not playing over Marcus Ross or Ashton Mills. But here's the rest of our players that are transferring. I'm not even going to try to keep this fullback. I don't care. Not a huge class leaving. I know last year was a lot bigger class because it was a lot of walk-ons leaving. And I know both of these are most likely going to be blank, but let's go ahead and check. Draft results. Yeah, we had no one get drafted. So let's check transfer requests now, and I'm assuming this is going to be blank, and it is not. Left tackle Brad Cohen wants to transfer, a true freshman from Washington. How good are you? I mean, most likely we're going to take you anyway. Why is your acceleration so high? Run block is 71, impact block is 67, 70 strength. He won't be able to play this season, obviously, because they can't, like, really fix the transfer portal situation. But yeah, I guess we will take this transfer. So now let's jump to the final scouting portion of the season. As you can see, I have 11 scholarships remaining. Like I said, I can only bring 20 players this year. Next year, I have no restrictions. But this year I can only bring in 4 stars and only bring in 20 players. If it ends up signing more than 20, what I do is I cut them down until I only have 20 freshmen or 20 people coming in. And the reason I say not just freshmen is because we have one guy that I will be bringing in, and that is Lane Washington, who is a JUCO transfer out of Gaffney, South Carolina. He will have 93 speed, 79 catching, and I will probably put him on the outside where we just lost Shannon Montgomery. But the rest of this class I am very excited for. Chris McKinney, Brian Alexander, Adam Macklin, Sean Griffin, Lane Washington, David Jordan, Will Hughes. We're going to get some solid outside linebackers here. We got a new defensive tackle coming in. A new middle linebacker that's only a 3-star. He comes in with 83 speed, 73 tackle. I don't really know if he's going to live up to Dallas Tremblay, but I think he will be fine. And then another JUCO, that is Justin Campbell. I am trying to improve the secondary a little bit. 91 speed with 80 man coverage. And there's only a handful of players here that I've thrown points at. The first one being Anthony Hollis, who is an athlete that is a gem. He is +7 overall with 85 speed. Let's see what else. He has 61 man, so 78 catching, 80 catching traffic. Definitely a receiver, maybe a running back. And then Josh McDougal is a center that I'm trying to bring in. He is a 4-star recruit. And then we have Jeff Carroll, another outside linebacker. I might play one of these guys at middle linebacker if I have to. But Jeff Carroll, I don't know if we'll actually get him because he's so low right now. We're still in the yellow, and I've seen players just straight up not commit before. And then we have running back Lance Mullins, who is a 4-star with 92 speed, 61 catching, which isn't great. And then where's his elusiveness? It is a 76, 78 juke move. Could be a pretty solid running back. Antoine Brown is another running back, just in case I don't get Mullins. I think I can land this guy. And then there's wide receiver Lamar Bailey. We are probably bringing in a lot of receivers here. 88 speed, 72 catching, 54 spectacular catching. Not great there. And then defensive tackle Richard Fry, who we've got to try to steal from Mississippi State there. He comes in with 79 power moves, 76 finesse, 77 tackles, 77 play rec. But those are the main guys I am targeting here, so let's figure out exactly if we can get them all. And it looks like we land Anthony Hollins, Josh McDougal, Dwight Rollins. We do not get Jeff Carroll. He commits to Toledo over us. We do get Lance Mullins. We actually don't get Antoine Brown. He goes to TCU, so we might see him in a few years. Jose Hall, Trevor Smith. We don't get Lamar Bailey also, but we do get Josh McCray, Will Spencer. Those guys may not make the team. I don't even think I will honestly have 20 recruits coming in because I'll be honest, I'm a little rusty at recruiting in this game, but now the next season I can recruit 5-star athletes, so I can go after 5-star, 4-star, and we'll try to get this team a lot better, a lot quicker. And you can see here, Nebraska just won the national championship and then pulls the #1 recruiting class. That's kind of terrifying to see, honestly. We finished as the #7 recruiting class, though, with no 5-stars, 8 4-stars, 11 3-stars, a couple 2-stars, which I assume are those guys at the bottom that didn't look very good. And we have 21 total prospects signed, so I should only have to cut 1 guy here. So I am actually really happy about that. Nebraska with 2 5-star recruits. Can we see who got also 2? Miami got 2, Georgia got 2. What about the most 4-stars? That goes to Michigan. Most 3-stars goes to Rutgers. 2 stars goes to Hawaii. 1 stars goes to Louisville. Okay, did not expect to see that team that bad on recruiting. And I came back to look at Jeff Carroll, who was the #4 outside linebacker in the entire class. And we threw like 4,000 to 5,000 points at him, and Toledo beat us by almost 5,000 points. They must have just taken everything into that one recruit trying to get a 4-star linebacker. And I'm slightly confused because it says I have 3 scholarships remaining here. I wonder if the recruiting class doesn't count JUCO transfers, though that doesn't make a ton of sense. But it looks like may have to cut 2 people instead of just 1. But now we get to jump into position changes, which should be a lot of fun because I recruited 4 athletes this year. And the first athlete we're going to look at is a 79 overall Anthony Hollis, who comes in with 85 speed. Let's look at all of his other traits here. 94 acceleration, which is pretty solid. Man coverage is 61. He's got 78 catching, 78 spectacular catching, 80 catch in traffic, 75 route running, 70 release. I'm thinking it's probably just best to move him to receiver. So let's see. He's a 78 overall running back, a 79 overall receiver, a 75 overall tight end, but he's only 6'1". And then every other position is pretty low here. So yeah, we're just going to make Anthony Hollis a wide receiver. And then the next one is Chris McKinney, who comes in with 94 speed, 94 acceleration, 75 jumping, not that that really matters, 75 play rec, 76 man, 79 zone, 59 press. So he's not going to be a great corner, I feel like. 65 catch in traffic, 58 catching, 81 release. What is his tackle? Could he be a safety maybe? He can't throw the ball, so he can't be a quarterback at all. 87 elusiveness, 76 juke move. Okay, so he could be a running back. Trying to see. Oh, his tackle's up here. It says 61. So I'm thinking Chris McKinney is going to be a running back. And yeah, he's a 79 overall running back. A 75 overall safety. All right, then. I will need to make a decision. I'll come back to him here in a second. Alright, so I've been looking around the team a minute trying to figure out exactly where Chris McKinney fits in, and at first I was going to put him at free safety, but his hit power is only 42, and both of our safeties have higher hit power than that. His tackle's only a 61. I know his man coverage is really good, but that really low press kind of concerns me, only a 59 press. So we're actually going to just make Chris McKinney a running back, which is where his overall is best, but he may find himself playing a little bit of defense this year. And now we have Brian Alexander, our third athlete that I brought in. He has 89 speed, 87 acceleration, 70 tackle, 86 man, 85 zone, 74 press, 80 catching. Okay, this guy could be really good. Can I see his play rec? Am I just blind? There it is. It's 83. Oh, this guy could be really, really solid on defense. He's a 79 overall quarterback, a 68 overall running back, a 78 overall wide receiver. What's he on defense? A 79 strong safety, an 82 free safety, a 77 corner, a low tier linebacker, I guess. We're going to make Brian Alexander a free safety, and he is probably going to take Eric Kemp's job because an 82 overall as a true freshman is absolutely insane. And now finally we have Sean Griffin out of St. Petersburg, Florida, a 4-star athlete with 90 speed, 89 acceleration. He cannot cover. He can kind of catch. 70 catching, 73 spectacular catching, 68 catch in traffic, 78 route running. Not bad there. Throw power is 81 and throw accuracy is 80. How are we looking at quarterback right now? We have Ty Downing, obviously, and then Josh McCray, a quarterback that is a 3-star recruit that I don't even think I recruited. And let's see, where are his throwing ratings? 76 and 75. Yeah, you know what? We're going to go back over here. And Sean Griffin, you are going to be our backup quarterback for this season. What is he rated elsewhere? A 73 at quarterback and receiver, and that is it. All right, so yeah, you're just going to be our backup quarterback, Griffin. And what I'm going to do here, because for the last few seasons, anytime I scout a tackle or a guard, for whatever reason, it automatically makes them like a left tackle or a left guard. So as of right now, I have no right guards and no right tackles on this roster. So we're actually just finally going to change someone's position, and that is going to be Jacob Thomas. We're going to move him over to right guard, and so we'll at least have someone there. And then at left tackle, oh wow, we do not have great tackles. I probably should have been a little more hardcore recruiting those. I guess we'll move AJ Peterson over there, and he will be our starting right tackle, at least as of right now. If I get in there and I see that like this backup center is a better right tackle, which might be the case here, yeah, I think it is, but I'll deal with that more on the depth chart. And we're actually going to take outside linebacker David Jordan here and actually move him over to the middle. He does drop an overall point, but I think that's probably better than starting, Steve Barker here. I don't know if he'll make the team. These guys might not. I don't know why the CPU decided to recruit a 2-star linebacker. But yeah, David Jordan will probably start at middle linebacker for us this season. And I did recruit punter Jim Kelly, but I'm now realizing I probably didn't need to do that because I just made Jermaine Allen my punter last season. So I've moved Kelly over to kicker just in case I have to cut him. And then the CPU will just put a walk-on here. But I don't want to have to like burn a spot on a punter whenever I could just move Jermaine Allen back over there. And I say this every season, but this is my favorite part of the offseason, training results. We get to see how all of the players that we used last year have progressed, got better, or even maybe got worse, because I do use the Revamp tool that they came out with to do training results, and now sometimes players can actually get worse. You've seen it in previous videos. And first things first, our quarterback Ty Downing gets +4 to his overall. He gets a little bit faster, +1, +2 to acceleration. That's not what I'm concerned about though. What are his throw power and throw accuracy? +1 to throw power, +5 to throw accuracy. That is what I love to see. Coming off a Heisman winning season, he is now an 82 overall quarterback. All right, this surprises me a little bit. BJ Smith loses 4 overall points. Josh Golden gets +5, and Kellen Simmons doesn't change. What did BJ Smith lose? He lost a little bit of acceleration, 2 to awareness, 4 to trucking, 4 to elusiveness, 11 to ball carrier vision. Why? That doesn't make any sense. Granted, I'm the one that controls the ball carrier vision, so that may not affect him too much. -4 to stiff arm, -3 to spin move, -1 to juke move, -7 to carrying. Okay, he's coming off a 1,700-yard season and may not be our starting running back with all of that. That is rough to see, and he loses 2 injury rating points. But -4 overall to our running back that was just one of the best players in the country. And recapping our wide receivers, Wayne Outlaw gets +4, Jeff Benson gets +3, Joey Miller got +4, and Rich Anderson got +2. Where did they all get better? You can see some of them here. Jeff Benson gets +5 to acceleration. Joey Miller gets +12 to awareness for some reason. Break tackle, Jeff Benson gets +6. Rich Anderson got +7. That could be big on kick returns. Trucking doesn't really change. Elusiveness, Jeff Benson now a 99 elusiveness. He may be one of our kick returners this season. He returned a couple punts last year. Ball carrier vision, not huge. Joey Miller is a 92 on that apparently. Stiff arm gets a little better. Spin move +4. But let's see. Catching +3 to a 77, +1 to a 73. Rich Anderson gets a little better. I did not know Joey Miller had like the best hands on the team. Spectacular catching. Wayne Outlaw gets +9. Joey Miller gets +10, and Rich Anderson got +9 as well. Catching traffic +1, +2, and +1. Route running +5, +1, +6. What about release? Jumping, Wayne Outlaw got a little bit better. Joey Miller got +5. Did I scroll past release? Did that just, there it is, 67, so he gets +7, +1, +3, probably why Joey Miller got open so much last season. He apparently has the best release out of all of these receivers, and they get a little more durable because Wayne Outlaw gets +2 to injury, and Joey Miller gets +1. And I like to see this, both of our tight ends got better. Sam Lawson got +3, and backup tight end Kevin Archie got +5 going into his final season here at Oklahoma. And +5 to trucking, +1 to ball carrier vision. Juke move got higher. Catching got a little bit higher. Kevin Archie now a 71 catching. That is impressive. Route running +8 and +7. I like to see that. And anything else over here? Release got a little bit higher for Kevin Archie. +7 to pass block. Run block did not get better. +6 to impact block though. And their injury ratings did not change. So both of our tight ends get better. I'm not going to go over all of their ratings here because it'll take a while with linemen. but Marlon Ellis gets +3, and Kellen Wheatley gets +6 at left guard. It looks like Josh Higgins is +1, and Craig Baker is +4. At center, Steve Thomas is +4, and Scott Campbell is +3. Right guard, we don't have any. Right tackle, AJ Peterson gets +4. That's actually really big. We will go look at his ratings because he may be our starting right tackle. And we got hit from the right side a lot last season because I tried to roll out to that side so much. +1 to pass block, or I'm sorry, +4 to pass block, and +1 to run block, +7 to impact blocking, and +1 to injury. And AJ Peterson is going into his final season with us. At left end, Thomas Jackson gets +6. That's cool. +4 to strength, +3 to agility. I mean, he got a lot better. +11 to awareness, though. We'll do that. At right end, Mills and Ross did not improve. Are you kidding me? So they don't get anything for having 10 and 7 sacks last season, I'm pretty sure. At defensive tackle, Mike Handy got better, +4. Ronnie Simpson, +4. John Long, +3. And Scott Thomas, +1. Left outside linebacker, Justin Rogers got +7, +3 to strength, 3 to agility, 3 to acceleration, 7 to awareness. So he has 49 awareness now. All right, I was hyped for a second, and then I saw that. Awareness is huge if I'm not controlling them, and I really never control the defense. +4 to tackle, 4 to hit power, 6 to power move, 5 to finesse, +10 to block shedding. Okay, you may need to play some defensive end here. +10 to press, 3 to zone, 3 to man, 6 to play rec. That's actually really cool. Jeff Ryan was our starter last year, but no, it was not Jeff. I'm thinking Jake Wright. Never mind. So ignore me on that. Middle linebacker, not really important. Jake Wright, going into his junior season, gets +1. And now for the corners. And that is what I wanted to see. Alex Red with +5, getting to 80 overall. He was my favorite recruit from last season. Gets +1 to speed, +11 to awareness. Where is coverage? Let's go look at that. +1 to catching is pretty good. 3 to jumping. 5 to tackle. But where is your coverage? +3 to play rec, +1 to man coverage, +7 to zone. George Steele gets +11 to zone. We may need to run a little bit more zone this year. 94 zone coverage from Steele, 84 man, 73 pursuit. What is your play rec though? I think your play rec was actually pretty low. And I may have just scrolled past it not thinking. And I'm pretty sure I did. So let me scroll back here. And if I scroll past it again, I'm going to be kind of upset. All right, there it is. 62, 67. But Clayton Samuel gets up to 80. And his man coverage is still a 76, though. But we do have, I think, a new corner brought in, if I remember correctly. But at free safety, Eric Kemp gets +6. Probably still not enough to save your job, though. I think that other guy is probably going to take it. But we will compare your ratings here in a minute. He gets +12 to awareness. That is actually big. It's not big whenever like my quarterback gets it or my running back because I control them, but it's big whenever these defensive guys get that. +2 to hit power, +7 to pursuit, +6 to play rec. That's pretty good. +8 to zone and 1 to man. That's what I was looking for Eric Kemp. And then strong safety Kawika Moore maybe taking his job back from Dallas Tremblay because Moore just got +6. Let's see all these ratings though. We will scroll over here to the edge and he gets +8 to catching. He gets +5. Jumping doesn't really matter here. Tackle 77 and 71. Hit power looks like Jason Tremblay is a bit stronger in that. Block shedding, pursuit, play rec, they are now about the same. Man coverage, Kawika Moore gets +10. That is huge because he got torched a lot last season, and zone coverage is +2. But if I move Kawika Moore back to the starting role, Jason Tremblay may get to move into that slot where Kawika Moore came in at corner a lot last season, and I wasn't really sure why. I think it's the defensive packages that I'm using, but he came in a lot, and he got torched a bit. But Jason Tremblay has a bit better man coverage, as you just saw, if I can go back over to it. Yeah, he has 78, and then his play rec is about the same. So maybe we can move Jason Tremblay back to being our, Kawika Moore back to being our starting safety. And our kicker coming off his true freshman year gets +4 to his overall, 6 to awareness though, which might be the only thing that increased. We'll have to scroll all the way back here. He gets +1 to kick power and 6 to accuracy, so that's actually pretty solid. But that is all of the player progressions. Ty Downing and Wayne Outlaw now the highest rated members of this team at 82 overall. And now we're at the stage where I have to cut players, and I always kind of hate this stage, but it's a lot better this year because I only have to cut 2 people. We used 22 of the 25 possible scholarships, and I can only bring in 20, so we only have to cut 2 guys this year. And currently we have 65 players on the roster, so yeah, I only have to cut 2 people that are coming in on scholarship so I can get down to the 20 that I am allowed. The first guy I am releasing is middle linebacker Justin Turner. He is a 61 overall, 62 tackles, 61 hit power, a 2-star recruit. We are going to get rid of him, and now we only have to drop 1 more player. And then the second player I'm dropping is defensive tackle Chris Cook. He is a 3-star recruit, but he's 60 overall with 75 strength, 69 finesse, 69 power moves, 70 play rec. I just don't really think he's going to see the field, and I think I can probably bring in someone to replace those seniors leaving that's going to be better in this next class. So we'll just go ahead and get rid of Chris Cook, and that is the 2 players that I have to cut. And that is now everyone I have to cut. And as you can see, true freshman Brian Alexander is already one of the best players on this team, tied with Wayne Outlaw and Ty Downing for overall. And here is our schedule for the upcoming season. We will kick it off in Norman against Colorado. Then we will travel to Nebraska to take on the defending national champions. Then we get a bye week. Then Kansas State. Then we host North Carolina in Norman, another bye week. And then we are at Texas, at Kansas, home against Houston, at UCF, at Oklahoma State, home against Texas Tech, at TCU, and then home against Baylor, and then the conference championship, which we will obviously be trying to get back to. But that will wrap up the final offseason video with restrictions. Next offseason should be a lot of fun, but we have to get through Season 6 first. The next video will start with me showing the depth chart for Week 1 against Colorado. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you guys next time.